Hi there, I'm Catherine Lawrence with foodsaveme.com, online nutrition and cooking classes. Welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me today. Today's topic is food addiction. So we're going to be talking about all those cravings that we get, why we get the cravings, what triggers them, what's going on in our brains to make us want these foods. But then I'm going to give you some tips of things that you can do to help battle those. And in my opinion, just understanding where cravings come from is really empowering for me to fight those cravings too. So I'm going to give you the tips, and then we're going to make 5 delicious recipes that will be easy for you to make at home for your family. So I hope you enjoy it. Just some background on me. I haven't always eaten this way. In 2006, I got really sick. I had stage 4 endometriosis and all kinds of reproductive issues. You can hear more about it, my full story, in one of our other videos on the website. But helping to change my diet reversed all of my reproductive problems. I was no longer infertile, as I was told that I was. I went on to have children, and I didn't need the full hysterectomy that we thought that I did. So eating this way has been beneficial for me, but one of those things that I had to personally overcome was food cravings. So before we get started, I just need to remind you that any major diet change you're thinking about, you need to consult your primary care physician. And I'm going to present information and resources for you that I hope you'll consider as another tool in your toolbox, and I hope that you'll just love the recipes. So let's get started with our class. Before we can understand food addiction, first we need to identify some of our cravings. So I've got an audience here. I'm going to ask them for something, and you can think about this at home to yourself. What are the foods that you crave the most? So for example, if you're having a really, really bad day, what is your go-to food? And if you're having a really great day, what is the food that you celebrate with, right? What is the food that you're emotionally attached? Okay, great. So chocolate is one. Yep, donuts. Yep. For sure. Ice cream. There's always someone yelling ice cream in the back. And if you're going to go out to dinner tonight, you're having a really bad day, like, oh, I just need to shake off some steam. Mexican food. Okay, that sounds good. Mexican food. And when you're there, do you have a margarita or a beer? Yes. Okay. So a margarita. And what else? Macaroni and cheese. Sure, that's a big comfort food. Yeah, pizza for sure. Anything else? Chinese food. All right. What else are your cravings for? Yeah? Okay. So we've got a lot of common foods up here. I've been teaching this class for a long time, and I always get a lot of similar answers. Often people will say wine and cheese. That goes together nicely. We'll talk about why. All right, so I'm going to stop here because we're not having any of this today in our class, but I just wanted to identify why are these foods that we're craving, why are these the foods that we're craving? And so, as I mentioned, I've been teaching this class for a long time, and no one has ever said kale or broccoli or quinoa, because we're not craving those, and there's a reason why. So let's talk about it. So there is a great book called The Pleasure Trap, and it's written by Dr. Doug Lisle. There's also a video that gives a really great explanation of the pleasure trap. And so Dr. Lisle works with patients who are addicted to drugs and alcohol and looks at what that does to the brain. And he eventually started asking questions. I wonder if there are any foods that can trigger this same sort of response. And what he was looking at was dopamine release. So dopamine is basically a happy chemical in the body that our brain releases. And so whenever we release dopamine, a couple of things happen. One is that we are happy. We're happy when we release the dopamine. Also, it creates a memory. So we remember where we were when we were happy, where we were when we felt good. So it makes us happy. It creates a memory. And then even more powerful, it creates a desire to return. A desire to return. So if you think about caveman days, for example, we're looking for food, trying to find it. All of a sudden we find it. We find the food. Ooh, dopamine is released and we're happy. But more importantly, we created a memory so we can figure out where we found that food. We can remember. And then we have a desire to return to that state, to whatever it is that gave us that. And that's important for our survival that we eat, right? And there are a couple of other things that can release dopamine that are important to our survival. And so we need to eat, right? But also exercise. Exercise can release these happy chemicals. And I've seen people get addicted to exercise. But exercise is a healthy way to get that dopamine hit, if you will. So exercise is important to our survival. Eating is. What else? Well, making more of us, reproducing, any kind of, adult activities between two people can create this dopamine release. And that's important because that act makes you happy, creates a memory, and you have a desire to return. And so that's how the human race continues on, right? Getting all that dopamine. So food, exercise, and reproductive type fun stuff like that. But so he was looking at food. And he found there are 3 elements of food that will trigger that dopamine release. You guys know what they are? Yes, one is fat. Yep. And the second is salt. And finally, my favorite, sugar. So Dr. Lyle found that whenever we have fat, salt, or sugar, it can trigger a dopamine release. So it'll make us happy. We create a memory and we remember where we found it. And then we want to return there and go get more of it. So that's really important to know. Whenever we consume those, fat, salt, or sugar, we're going to trigger this dopamine release, and it's going to start this addictive cycle, these cravings. There's some important things that he discovered as well, though. If you have fat and salt together in a meal, then that will trigger a craving for sugar. Have you ever noticed that? If you're at a restaurant, for example, I can make a big bowl of pasta marinara at home, giant bowl. It's probably about 7 or 8 grams of fat, no big deal. But if I go to a popular restaurant, because you can find their nutrition information online, if I go to a popular restaurant and get a big bowl of pasta marinara, it's actually 43 grams of fat. So there's a huge difference between what I make at home and what I eat at a restaurant. And what happens, I'm getting all that fat in their pasta marinara, and then restaurants typically, their food is higher in sodium. So I'm going to get a lot of fat and a lot of salt. And what does that trigger a craving for at the restaurant? Well, something sweet. So I want something at the beginning, maybe some sweet wine, or I want dessert at the end, or maybe if I'm really enjoying my pleasure trap, I'm going to have it both. So I'll have wine and dessert. So that's what happens when we have a lot of fat and salt together. It can trigger that craving for sugar. And knowing that is really important if you're going out to eat. Understanding, okay, I'm going to have a lot of fat and salt. I need to be prepared for this sugar craving that I'm having. Next, another important thing to know about these is that if you have all 3 of these together, this is called the trifecta. So this, you get like an extra boost of it, an extra hit. And these are the foods that we truly feel like we can't live without. And so, for example, every time I've ever taught this class, someone always says chocolate and always says ice cream. Why is that? That's right, because it's got all 3 of these in here, and we are truly addicted to them. And I say I include myself. I have like an emergency dark chocolate bar in my purse, just in case I'm having a bad day. All right, so let's look on our board here for things that we crave, things that we love, and see if we can find any fat, salt, and sugar. So I mentioned chocolate has all 3, right? So that's a trifecta food. What about donuts? They have fat, yes, and sugar. And ice cream, ooh, this is a great one. So that one's got all three. Mexican food. So that could be a variety of things, but in general, it's fat and salt. So we're getting a lot of fat and salt, and then that feels like it's perfectly balanced, right? By that sweet margarita. So that's going to make it a trifecta when we add that margarita. And that's why we crave the sweet drink while we're at the restaurant. Mac and cheese has fat and salt. Pizza, what do you think? Yeah, all three. So pizza is a huge, I've had people in classes tell me I can never give up pizza. Chinese food, typically a lot of fat and salt. And then this is the perfect example of why people feel like wine goes perfectly with cheese. Cheese is very high in fat and salt, and the wine adds the sugar. Right? So this makes it a trifecta food. But what else is that similar combination? Beer and salted nuts, right? If you go to a bar, there's a bag of salted nuts there, high in fat and salt for sure. And then that'll go perfectly with the beer. So what our brain is doing is chasing this dopamine response whenever we have these. We are looking for the fat, salt, and sugar to give us that stimulation. So just understanding this fundamental knowledge about food and your cravings will help empower you to overcome them, because knowing is half the battle, right? So this cabbage mango salad recipe is a great example of a nutrient-dense snack that would be great before you're heading out to a group function or going out to a restaurant. It's going to fill you up with all these great nutrients and provide nourishment and sustainment for you. So it's really easy to make. I'm going to start with some cabbage. And I'm going to use both green and red cabbage in this recipe. Both of these are very nutrient dense. Cabbage is a cruciferous vegetable. And if you come to our cancer class, you'll learn more about that. But vegetables in the cruciferous family have shown to arrest the growth of cancer cells. So it's also a very beneficial recipe for you in addition to helping you fight food cravings. And if you notice, I'm using the entire cabbage. I leave the core in and I cut that right into my salad. The core has a lot of good nutrients in it. I was raised that you cut the core out and throw it away. But you want to leave that in there. It's got a lot of good nutrients in it. A lot of people don't like cabbage because it can make them gassy. So that's why it's good to leave the core in it, because that core has an anti-gas nutrient in there. So leave that in so that in case cabbage makes you gassy, if you have the core, it can help fight that. I'm also using purple cabbage or red cabbage, and it just gives the salad a beautiful color, but also very rich in nutrients, very nutrient dense. Next, I'm going to use a green apple. So this is going to give it a little bit of tartness to the salad. So if you don't want that tartness, then use a red apple. That would be fine too. They're both high in vitamin C and they've got fiber in them as well. All of these plant foods do. And so that will help you fight your cravings. Next, I'm adding a mango. Oh, I love mangoes. I just wash it well, cut it small so the skin goes in there. You won't even notice it. These mangoes are rich in a nutrient called beta carotene. It gives it that orange pigment there. And these are great for helping to prevent breast cancer in women. Now, this is a traditional mango, but there are also honey mangoes that are fabulous in here too. The reason I like it in this salad is because it gives it a nice sweetness, and it's a nice contrast to the very crunchy, cabbage. All right, and it's so juicy. It's just dripping down my hand there. All right, so we've got mango in here, and I'm going to add another beta carotene rich food. And that is our carrots. I like to cut these a little bit smaller, more like a slaw style. So I'll just kind of grate that in there. And this is going to give it a little bit of crunch, a little bit of sweetness. And I do not peel root vegetables because most of the nutrients are right there by the skin. So leave the skin on your root veggie, on your carrots. Just rinse them well. Don't scrub them too hard because you want to leave all those good nutrients in there. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a big salad and with lots and lots of flavor. So next, I'm going to add some orange juice. So I'm going to zest this, and then I'll need to cut it and get the juice off. So I'm just zesting it very gently. Citrus fruits actually have a lot of vitamin C on the outside of the skin, sometimes more than they do on the inside. Plus, it gives it that nice tangy flavor, having the zest in there. It just smells so good when I'm cutting in that zest. And if you don't have an orange handy, a lemon works great with this recipe too. So let me get that zest out of there, and then I will cut the orange. This is a nice juicy orange. Ooh. This salad will keep for you. This is one of these I make in my Sunday prep, my meal planning for the week, and it'll keep throughout the week for you, about 4 or 5 days. But as it's in the refrigerator, it can dry out, so just keep some fresh citrus handy to kind of squeeze a little bit on it before you're going to serve it. So this salad is very simple. It comes together easily. It's going to be nutrient dense. And in terms of food addiction, I've had this salad for breakfast sometimes. If I'm feeling a little under the weather, or maybe just I had a lot of fat and salt the night before and I'm not feeling very good in the morning, I go to nutrients to pick me up. Instead of coffee or caffeine, it's those nutrients that will sustain me longer and give me that good natural energy. So I want to show you how pretty and colorful this salad is. I hope you'll try it at home. One great variation for this is to add some cut up strawberries as well. I find with the children, the more fruit I add to this, the more they eat of it. And that's fine with me because I'm trying to get them to eat that great cabbage in there. And it's fantastic. So here you go. And I hope you enjoy it. This cabbage mango salad is a great fighter for your cravings because it is so nutrient dense. Everything in here is working for your health. And plus, it has some added benefits. It is naturally very low in fat, and it's also cholesterol free. So you can eat it with reckless abandon. People always ask me, Catherine, what is that thing you're using to cut everything with? I literally cut everything with this. This is my Salad Master food processor. And I travel with it. I love it so much. If we're going out of town, I bring the food processor with me because I love to use it, but also it gets my kids involved in the cooking. This is not something we sell, but it is something you can earn for free. So I want to share that program with you in just a minute. The food processor, it comes with 5 cones, and they all cut a variety of different ways, but pretty much any fruit or vegetable, even tomatoes, bell peppers, all that. I do walnuts and pecans in mine. So anything you want, you can cut on the Salad Master machine. These are dishwasher safe, also come with a lifetime warranty. Now, if you're not familiar with Salad Master, it's a line of healthy cookware, and it's actually the only cookware that I trust to cook food for my family. So if we're traveling somewhere and they don't have Salad Master cookware, we bring our own pan with us because this is what I'm most comfortable eating food from for our family. I believe it is the highest quality, most advanced and cleanest cooking system on the market. Salad Master is backed by a limited lifetime warranty, proven performance, and actual nutrition studies that show that food cooked in Salad Master retains many more nutrients than food cooked in traditional methods. Salad Master is not sold in stores. We do in-home cooking demonstrations. I hope you'll sign up for a dinner demonstration so I can cook for you. If you're in the state of Texas, I'll come to your home, or you're welcome to come to our office in Southlake. And if you're outside of that area, then we can do a virtual demonstration through Zoom or another app of your choice. It's fun, it's informative. You know, in our nutrition classes, we talk about nutrients, about vitamins and minerals that you need. But on the Salad Master dinner demonstration, the reason it's so important is because I'm going to teach you about enemies to nutrition, things that you might be doing, things that I did before I knew better that were actually killing these precious nutrients, either cooking them too hot of heat or doing things to dissolve the nutrients out, things that are working against our health and healing. And so that's what we talk about on the dinner demonstration. I also show you how to cook really fast, which is nice, but I think the most important part of the demonstration is the cookware test. And that's where we test the different types of cooking surfaces. And I will teach you how to do that so that you can actually taste if there's any chemical reaction coming from your pans when you heat them. You can taste that because your food is only as healthy as the surface that it's cooked in. And so this is what we talk about on the dinner demonstration. It's completely free, and you can sign up for the dinner demo on foodsaveme.com. I hope I get the opportunity to take this a step further with you so that you can learn about cooking surface, cooking techniques to protect all of these great nutrients. And I want to help you get that Salad Master food processor for free. This is easy. You just see the demonstration, provide a couple of referrals for your friends to see it, and then you can get this machine for free. It makes my life so much easier. And I think that's the biggest complaint from students when they're trying to transition to a whole food plant-based diet. It's just a lot of chopping and a lot of prep work. So anytime you can get a tool, especially a free one, then that's a great thing to just make your journey easier. So check it out. You can sign up on foodsaveme.com.